Hey, howdy, and welcome back to the channel. This is Matthew Pizgatti. Now, I have a lot to say because I haven't posted since about mid-June, and there's a reason for that. Mainly, there hasn't been a lot going on. We've all seen the rising prices in gas and the general economy. Pretty much every time we go to the grocery store, you're probably seeing that increase in price, the inflation for just about everything. At the same time, what are we seeing? We are seeing a decrease in the price, the valuation of certain cryptos, really across the board, and a lot of the stocks, the bigger name stocks as well. Just the market in general is not doing incredibly well. That is where we're at. Now, I've got a lot to say, as I just stated, but that being said, we don't want to turn this into a 40-minute ramble. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to split these up into a few different portions since I'm kind of jumping back into the deep end here and posting again. This video specifically, kind of just as a welcome back, let's talk about, on a more broad overview, what I'm seeing and what I'm doing. So, we've seen a few updates from Forex. If we're talking about DRIP, we're going to talk about DRIP first. We've seen some updates from Forex, not only talking about the scratch-off lottery ticket, but also about a hacker-themed game that he's been working on. He said he's been working on it for the last 2 years or so that he's been envisioning. And at least one of these visions, I think the scratch-offs is what he's referring to in a lot of these Telegram chats, is going to be ready by the 17th, he says, of this month. Add a week or two just for Forex time because that's how he rolls. But it sounds like some type of launch is due by the end of the month. So that also, plus the AMAs that he's done recently, we're seeing this little bit of a buy pressure. You're seeing a good bit, not as many buys today, but a lot of really big buys yesterday I saw coming in and depositing into the faucet. So that's a good thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm about to buy some more DRIP. I'm going to do that on a separate video, not only for the shilling factor of we want to promote the protocol in general, but just because that's what, it works the best for getting this project back up in the air. And we want to keep sentiment high. We want to keep interest high because we want new capital coming in, and because when the farms launch, which we're hoping is soon, again, we don't just want the scratch-off tickets. We don't just want these new games. We want the farms live. We want the whole ecosystem of the animal farm to be live again. Because once that goes live, I think we're going to see a huge uptick. Now, I will say I drew these lines a long time ago. This is kind of the lowest point that DRIP has ever reached on this at least. Which, I mean, on this DEX here, on this chart here, that's as low as it's hit. Is what the minimum is 639. And if you'll see, just the other day, we got pretty close to that. We were around, just around there. We were just skirting the bottom of what it hit previously, maybe around 636, somewhere around there. So it came really close, and we're starting to see a climb back. There's obvious resistance there. Nobody wants it to hit those levels again, and they'd like to bring it back up. So I think that's what we're seeing there, that resistance from the all-time low in the past. And that's really cool to see. Just in general, it's cool to see that. So I'm going to add some more to DRIP. I'm also going to add some more to stake, just because I'm seeing a pretty low price point here. I've mentioned stake numerous times, and I'll cover it on a separate video when I purchase the stake, as well as adding to the foundation. Stake has a lot of elements that are very similar to DRIP, but enough uniqueness to not make it a direct clone. They've actually tried to do their own thing. The developers, the admins in that Telegram chat especially have said how much of a fan they are of DRIP. They're all heavily invested in DRIP, and they want to see it succeed. But they did create this system that is similar, but not the exact same. Not as much of a copy as, say, Splassive. So enough so that unique enough so that I would like to still invest into it. Also, we're getting in on the ground floor, just like we are on the next wave of DRIP. But, if you saw what DRIP did, and if you're not absolutely sold on the idea of it having another run, which I am, but if you're not, and I could be wrong, this isn't financial advice always, never is, but in my thinking, I think DRIP's going to have another run. If you don't think that, if you're kind of more on the fence of that, but you did see what it did on the first run, then you could count on something like Stake having a similar run, I think. And the reason I say that is because if you look at their documentation, they just had a big AMA, and they've got a lot of new features coming out in the future. So they have this lottery coming out. They already released things that they had that they were waiting on, launching. That didn't launch with the start of the protocol. So like this protocol owned liquidity, their own swap pages. They've added that. They said they were going to. They added a feature to buy with a card, which is pretty impressive. This was just functioning the other day. Let me give a hard refresh and see if it will. They may be working on that feature, but they did just add that, and it seemed to be functioning just the other day. It may be having an issue today, but they did have a buy with card option. Oh, there it is. It's loading now. So they added a buy with card option. Not only that, but if you watch the prices, you can actually get a discount on the costs sometimes because it's different here on the website versus what it is on the outside dexes. So this native dex is a little different. They did release the foundation, which it looks like similar to the drip reservoir to me, where this helps set a price floor for Stake. It's going to help the sustainability of Stake, and you get a reward in a stable type coin or a pegged coin to the dollar. So I think your return is in BUSD. Let's see. Let me see if it specifically says that. Oh yeah, no. Okay, so so it's not the exact same as the reservoir because you're credited the LP token Stoke, which is staked here. Do we not? It doesn't say exactly how you're getting that. Yeah, so you're still withdrawing Stoke. Okay, so that's a little bit different than the reservoir. You'll have to break this LP token again if you want to sell it to get some of the profit back. So it is a BUSD/stake LP pair. So that's not the exact same as the reservoir, but again, that's what I'm kind of stating here is that I'm stating that the protocol is very similar to DRIP, but it's not the exact same, and that uniqueness is what is kind of intriguing me. So yeah, this is doing really well. There was a big spike with the initial marketing, but they're going to continue to do more marketing, and I think this is going to continue to grow. The number of teams in here that are promoting their own teams, and again, I am as well. You can join the Pizgatti team. There's a Pizgatti crew referral link in the description if you want to join my team for Stake. Here, let me go ahead and compound while I'm here. A lot of teams that are building and promoting, and so that's helping a lot. We're seeing the total player base grow, not as quickly as DRIP, but it really hasn't just caught on as much as DRIP yet. But it is giving the 1% plus the up to 2% if your nerd indicator is in the positive. So it's doing really well. DRIP Garden, we're just continuing to compound. Let me get hot over there. We're just going to continue to compound here and stack our seeds up. When DRIP makes its recovery, which we're all kind of counting on, this DRIP Garden is going to explode. So we're excited for that. If you saw just the other day, this helped DRIP, by the way, because some of the, I want to say it's the native decks. I can't recall at the exact moment. Some of it is paired to BNB. So we saw a little bit of a bump in BNB just the other day, and that has helped the DRIP price, helped it kind of stabilize a bit. You can see we were on this decline, but we keep having these bumps, especially at these lower resistance levels from where it was previously, that 639. We're seeing some resistance continue there. And if these farms and the rest of the animal farm opens up, then I think we're going to see a huge turnaround. And so I'm pretty excited for that. All that buy pressure just the other day in DRIP kind of makes a lot of us think that there is something going on that we're not aware of that has kind of been talked about in the DAO. So there's a lot of excitability there, and we're excited to see where that goes. Kind of a quick tidbit, which I'll mention on my other more specific DRIP video when I buy more to throw into the faucet, is that a lot of people are not straight hydrating, especially if they're under 100 deposits, if they're kind of on the lower end, which I am. They are actually buying more DRIP to throw in here because it auto hydrates at the same time. And so if you're going to be dollar cost averaging anyway, that's kind of a tip for you. You might just want to go ahead and deposit in that way. I'm also going to touch on EMP while I'm here. Now, if you are semi-positive as far as you're bullish towards the EMP ecosystem, which is to say that you're bullish on Ethereum. If you think Ethereum is going to make a comeback along with Bitcoin, along with all the major players, which I would say is logically a pretty smart position to hold. If you think that's going to happen, then the EMP system would be a good entry point. And the reason I say that is, EMP is only 27 cents right now per EMP. That's because it is pegged to Ethereum. But if you were to, throw some in here, this was worth quite a bit more when Ethereum was higher. But now would be a really cheap entry point for Ethereum plus EMP. If you were going to pair those and throw them into the detonator or any of the other parts of this ecosystem, when Ethereum heads back upwards, this algo coin that is pegged to Ethereum is going to make a huge recovery as well. So when I was trading in it regularly, when Ethereum was at its regular prices, these were upwards, 70 cents, 80 cents, and even higher. So you could kind of imagine the explosion you're going to see there on this LP token, especially if you put it in the detonator. You're getting your over 1% a day, depending on your portion, your share of the detonator pool. That's pretty impressive. If you're bullish on the Ethereum side, that would be a really good exposure for you to get exposed to Ethereum and ride that back to the top. And that's kind of what we're looking for here is, that big recovery across all of the markets. If you have any faith in crypto at all, if you think that it's going to make a recovery, then all of these ecosystems, all of these little projects should make a recovery if their downfall, if their decline is only based or mostly based on that downturn, that decline of the market. So we are in that bear market. We have that downward trend. With Bitcoin, we saw that. It's getting a little bit more of a pump. We may not have hit the bottom just yet, but I think all ships will rise with that. When we see big boosts in Bitcoin, we'll see big boosts in DRIP, in Stake, in BNB, in Ethereum, all the major players. But DRIP, of course, is really waiting for the rest of its ecosystem to get launched, the farm, because there was a big drop in sentiment with that not being launched on time and then having that huge pause after it was launched. So we're going to see an all kind of ships rising scenario, I think, when all of crypto makes that rise back towards where it should be. And DRIP's ecosystem specifically will see a rise when the farms and everything launches as we're expecting them to do. That being said, that's really what I mean is when we're talking about BNB, we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about all the markets, all the major players, and really DeFi as a whole is suffering because of that inflation, because of that increased cost. People are cashing things out. They don't have as much liquid funds to support all of these ecosystems at the same time. And I think that's the major contributing factor is that we're just seeing a lot of people cashing out for that purpose. Otherwise, they would be sustaining these DeFi systems and continuing to just compound and dollar cost average on the way down. And I think a lot of people are doing that. Just something to kind of show what we're talking about is the number of buys still peppered into the DRIP ecosystem. It's not just sell, sell, sell. It's not just people draining the whole ecosystem as they go. There are a lot of buys scattered in there. So that's pretty important to take into account, that it's not just a complete draining of the system. There are buys scattered within, and it's not just a straight decline. You see some of these leveling out, some of these horizontal movements along the way. That's still pretty impressive, especially in this type of bear market that we're in. So anyway, as I say, I'm going to wrap this up and split this into a couple different videos just because I have so much to say since I haven't posted in a while as far as videos go, and there is a little bit to cover. There are a couple exciting new additions, like a new game that is coming out for the DRIP Garden. It's not officially sponsored, but it's 3D. You get to pick characters, and that's pretty exciting, as well as we're going to overview some of Forex Shark's AMAs because there's been some really good summaries. So we're going to cover those and just, all what he said in those AMAs, because as you know, he likes to meander, he likes to wander, he speaks a whole lot about a whole lot of nothing sometimes. So we do have some better consensus where we've kind of, broken that down into a a briefer synopsis of what he's actually trying to say. So look forward to those extra videos. Those are going to be out in a moment. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we're doing. I am buying more drip. I am buying more stake because it looks like this is a great time to do so. There are other projects that are also worthy of such attention. I just don't have the funds to throw at them, but you may. And we'll talk about those as well. So as always, like and subscribe if you appreciate the content. I'm just trying to update and kind of throw my opinion out there. Not financial advice, it never is, but I'm documenting what I'm doing along the way in case you decide to follow along. Appreciate you all for watching if you made it this far, and thank you. See you on the next one.